Alan's pro tips in a short time. Learn a lot.
Hey, Alan.
Hey, Steve.
I'm very excited about today's quick pro tip because it's a little bit of a twist. We've got Alan, Mr. Keep It Human, coming at things a little bit differently, thinking we need to be more transactional. Do I have this correct?
Yeah, I hate saying it out loud like that because anybody who's listened to us for a while or knows me personally knows I'm a huge advocate for keeping things human, relational, seeing the whole person, seeing the whole story behind situations. And most of the time, I do think that's the right move. But I've had some recent experiences dealing with insurance, legal wording, that kind of thing that have reminded me that there are times when being short, factual, and a little bit cold is actually kinder and more effective for everyone.
All right, that totally makes sense when we're talking about insurance. I'm not sure how that looks for music teachers, though.
Okay, well, here's an idea. Not every email needs your entire emotional narrative.
Oh, I'm sold.
Uh,
Okay, keep going.
well, no, something that can happen an awful lot in music education, at least it did for me, was to get stressed or feel misunderstood. And we tend to over explain in those situations. We pile on context and stories and justifications and side details. But here's the problem to the person on the other end, whether it's an administrator, a parent, or some office that has to make a decision, a big emotional essay can actually undermine your point. It can make it look like your case is thin. So you're trying to make up for it with volume and drama. Sometimes the other person just needs the fact, policy, or expectation, and the next step. That's it.
Well, and then the other thing, it just gives them more stuff to read, which for me is annoying. Like I would rather just get to the point, my personality
Yeah.
style. But you're saying even for someone who does not have my personality style, they could read into it like, huh, what does this person really need this? Why are they making such a strong case?
Yeah.
Well, this also fits with something now that I'm thinking about it that I've noticed with students. And I like to tell my music ed students this. And I also warn my jazz band students at the beginning of the year that when you give me one reason or an excuse, I typically believe it. But when you give me two or three for why something isn't going the way I want it to go, I kind of think, all right, you're lying or you're covering the real reason. Like, so you had a flat tire and grandma went to the hospital. That's why you missed the concert. It just, I don't trust it.
Which one of those was it really? Yeah. And adults, we can do that too. If somebody emails with one clear concern, it's easier for me to take it seriously. If I get 6 paragraphs with the history of the situation, what other teachers have said, how their kid has always been treated this way by this situation, and 3 unrelated grievances, it doesn't make their argument stronger. It makes it harder for me or any decision maker to see the one thing that actually matters. And if it does, and this goes in reverse when we're the ones that are writing.
So, can you think of a concrete example where teachers should, in general, be more transactional?
How about like an unexcused absence from a performance, and your handbook says that affects their grade? You could get kind of touchy feely and say, "Hey, I know this has been a confusing season. I totally understand. Kids are busy with sports and family stuff, and I really, really value your kid. And I hate having to enforce this, but this is the policy we've always had. And I try to be flexible, but the policy is actually supposed to be." And so by the time you reach the actual point, people are wondering what the issue is and where you really stand on it. So you can still be human, but you can be a little more transactional and just say, "Hey, Dr. Shanley, I want to follow up about Vivian missing the concert on Thursday. According to our handbook, concerts are required performances and count as a part of the grade. And an unexcused absence results in a lowering of the grade by 2 points. So at this point, I've recorded a grade accordingly. If there's information that I don't have that might change the status of this, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm happy to talk about ways that she can stay engaged and successful for the rest of the semester." So it's short and clear, it's grounded in policy, but it does open the door if there's new information, but it doesn't beg for approval or justify your existence or make sure that you stay the nice guy.
Yeah, I really think that last part is important because up until you added that sentence, I was a little worried that it was going to come across as a little too transactional, a little too harsh, a little too inflexible. But I think you kept it very short. And then at the end, you basically said, there's a chance I'm wrong. If there's something
Mhm.
I need to know, let me know. And I'm also happy to talk. So it still
Yeah.
keeps it very open. What about
Yeah.
communicating with administrators? Anything different as we consider that?
Yeah. Think about how busy they are also and how
Yeah.
they often hear the narratives
More
and the
emails than we
stories and
get, even. Yeah.
yeah, yes, yeah. So if there's anything that's got confusion, tension, anything that might be forwarded up the chain, go lean and factual. We talked about this recently when we talked about advocacy, but instead of sending 3 pages about how busy you are and how unfair a schedule change is and how your degree doesn't really justify doing such menial stuff, just try, hey, here's the situation. For a while, the schedule was this, and the schedule is now this. I think it's going to impact students in these 2 ways. And so my request is that I only supervise seventh grade study hall for 1 quarter during the year. Is that possible? So you're not hiding the human side, but you're not burying your main point under emotion or a bunch of tugs at the heartstring.
All right. So when do you try to keep it more human, or when do you make it transactional? How do you make the choice?
Think about just how we are most of the time. Most situations don't require this stuff. So 80, 90% of the time, be human, relational, generous with context, tell stories, listen to stories, show empathy, reward empathy, build trust, build connection. But 10 to 20% of the time, when something is high conflict or policy based, or maybe even might get reviewed by administrators or lawyers, stay transactional. Or when over explaining will only confuse things.
Yeah.
But this is the exception because most of the time we're just with people, we're just seeing people, letting them see us. So if you're consistently warm and human most of the time, people are a lot more willing to accept a brief, fact-only message when the situation calls for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm used to Mr. Fire being very student-centered, human-centered, kind. And so when I get the, hey, my kid missed this, this is the rule, this is what happens to the grade, it's like, oh, yeah, this must be how it is. I could see that kind of sticking out. You got any more examples of how this lines up with what you've seen outside of education in the corporate world?
Yeah. I got the corporate world I'm involved in quite a bit. And then also do those group tours to Disney World. So I see people navigate bureaucratic systems. And the people who get the best results with bureaucratic systems, insurance, reimbursements, approvals, returns, refunds, are the ones who stick to exactly what's being asked. So never let me tell you the whole tragic story, but here are the dates. Here's the policy language. Here's how our situation fits that policy. An example that I have is I was helping coach someone filing a travel insurance claim. And part of their narrative, the space where they had to write the description, was about how they had looked so forward to seeing their kid march in the parade at Disney World down Main Street, USA, with Cinderella's castle in the background. It was a once in a lifetime moment. And the flight delay meant that they missed it. And it just really, it sucks. I mean, you've been looking forward to this for months. You're paying a lot of money and you don't get to see this moment. Literally has nothing to do with the insurance claim. The insurance policy doesn't say, here's a covered situation. Your child is marching in a parade. It's a once in a lifetime. It's just not there. So anyway, I know what you want me to do is wrap it up and give you the actual quick pro tip. So here it is. Be deeply human most of the time, but don't be afraid to go transactional when stakes are high or confusion is likely. If emotion is already elevated, long emotional narratives can weaken the position. In those moments, stick to facts, name the boundary of the policy, state your request or the next step.
Yeah, and as I'm listening to you talk about all this, I could even reword it as you're not being less human, you're just using fewer words.
Yeah, strategically.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alan.
Hey, thank you, Steve.
Steve and Alan's pro tips in a short time. Learn all.